We are on Periscope. So if you want to send your Periscope up and take a look at what's going on, then you can see us there. But every day when we start a Facebook show, we've got to also share it on my page. And that always takes, an awkward moment of silence as we get that up and running. Unfortunately, if I don't do that, some of the people who follow, me personally, my close friends and associates, they haven't yet figured out the importance of following the page, the American Soundbite page on Facebook, so that, they get not just these beautifully produced videos, but they also are informed each and every time we post any critical information that will inform you throughout your day. You know that Duncan has extra large, right? Alrighty, so it looks like all of the video streams are up and running, which means I can click on the Go Live button and we can start the podcast. You are listening to The American Soundbite, a podcast that features common sense thoughts of this everyday American. We're in the beginning moments of the most valuable 10 minutes of your day, so congratulations on joining us. I'm certainly glad that you're along for the conversation today. Hey, before we start, I'd like to ask you to help out your friends, your family members, even, your coworkers. Those people that need a little extra assistance. Maybe they need help being conversive or communicative. They need a little bit more information to make their days better and, to make them more enjoyable just to be around. Find the share button. Let them know. The ones that follow you on social media, let them know that you start your day by listening to the American Soundbite, and, they would benefit from it even more than you do. The more of your friends that listen, the better the day goes for you. Who does your congressman work for? Let's think about that for a minute. You have a representative in the House of Representatives. And ostensibly, that person whom you vote for every 2 years, because that's how long their term exists for, ostensibly, they work for you. They are at the federal government level, legislating, creating laws, reviewing rules, establishing how exactly the government works and what it does for you each and every day. You would think that they would be interested in what you do, in what you say, in how you work, and how you live, and what you want and or need, or think you want or need from the federal government. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. You see, in Congress today, for every 2-year term, congressmen get elected. They go into office, and they probably really do care at that point what you think, what you need, how they can help their local communities by serving in Congress. But once they get there, they find out that, they're either a Republican or they're a Democrat, and they've got this huge organizational structure behind them of their party. And they have hundreds of members in their party whose job it is to make sure that, you don't vote based on what your constituents need back home, but that you vote the way we need you to vote so that we gain more control. And honestly, if you walk through the halls of Congress, if you look at the private meetings in the leaders' offices, if you look at their outings, if you hear the conversations that go on, that's exactly the conversations that happen. In fact, they promise that they will give you, well, committee chairs, which you make more money for, more tax dollars. They put you on other committees, which you also get paid even if you're not the chair, you get paid for. They offer you trips. By the way, they say, hey, we can make sure that you will get reelected. We will make sure that you're the pick for the party in 2 years. We'll help you fundraise. We'll give you support. We'll do all kinds of things for you. But you have to do what we tell you to. Well, these people literally just spent 1 or 2 years campaigning to win this office. They get to Washington, D.C., and they're told, we're going to teach you how it works. And how it works is you do exactly what we say. And when you do what we say, we'll help you get reelected. And the more time that you spend here, the more power you get here. And the more power you get here, the more influence that you have. And the more influence that you have, the more money that that group of people, that group standing over there, yeah, well, they have big, huge checkbooks. And they're going to give you cash, and they're going to give your family jobs, and they're going to give you homes out of the country, and they're going to make sure that your entire network is completely hooked up financially for the rest of their lives, as long as you stick around and you do what we say. And that, ladies and gentlemen, that is corruption. That is what President Trump refers to as the swamp. And that is literally what happens every single 2-year cycle in the House. With every incoming freshman congressman, those are the conversations that happen. And, well, almost all of them give in to the pressure, maybe not right away, but they all give in to the pressure. And if they don't, they're kicked out of Congress. So, you may be saying, well, that doesn't sound like those congressmen are working for me. I'm the one who elected them. I vote for them. They rule over my district. And you're right. So how do you change it? Well, the answer is really simple. The way that the parties control their members is by promising a long-term career in politics, that they will own that seat in the House. And if you see, the freshman offices in Congress are literally like the size of this couch. The leaders in Congress have like a 8,000 square foot office. And so the longer you stick around, the bigger your office gets, the more influence and power you have, the more control and the more money you get. And that's how they corrupt each and every politician when they get to Congress. So how do we change it? How do we stop it? How do we prevent these people from becoming part of the problem, part of the swamp, part of, well, the bureaucratic nightmare that is Washington, D.C.? The answer is much more simple than you might think. You see, the answer is we don't let them serve a second term. None of them. Not a single one of them. It doesn't matter what party they're from. It doesn't matter if they're aligned with your side or the other side. It doesn't matter if they're doing good things right now or not. At the end of their 2-year term, you and I, it's our really constitutional responsibility to vote them out of office. It doesn't matter who the next person is, because if we vote them out of office in 2 years and then them out of office in 2 years, if we only let congressmen serve 2 years in office, then there's no opportunity. Well, then the opportunity for them to be corrupted is greatly minimized. The power that the parties, Republicans and Democrats, have over their members at that point is minimal because, well, they're only going to serve a 2-year term. And in all reality, the influence that they have over, well, things that don't affect their constituents, the district that they rule over, almost goes away. So it's important to understand that when we let incumbents become reelected in the House, in the Senate, even at the state level, that we are inviting corruption, that we are telling them that we don't want them to care about us, their constituents. We're enabling them to become corrupt. We're enabling the parties to gain control and to manage those people. But if we simply, every time we see an incumbent on a ticket anywhere, if we vote the other side, whoever else is on the ticket, sometimes there are 2 or 3, right? Because there's independents or third-party candidates or whatever on the ticket. If we choose the non-incumbent in that race, after 2 or 3 or 4 elections, which is 4 or 6 or 8 years, all of a sudden, we have changed the face of politics. We have changed the face of the government. We have effectively removed corruption and power from the parties, and we have delivered the power of the federal government back to we the people, which is exactly what it says in the Constitution that it should be. The most powerful entity in this country, based on the Constitution, is the freedom of the people. Secondary to that are the states. The states should be much more powerful than the federal government. And the tertiary responsibility of rule and of law is at the federal level. That's the way the Constitution is written. That's the way it's stated. That's the way it's supposed to be. Now, we know that over the years, our elected officials at the federal level have completely bastardized that. They have ignored the Constitution, and they have absorbed power from the states, and they have absorbed freedoms and civil liberties from the people and brought that into Washington, D.C. Because you see, the more they control, the more that they rule, the more decisions that they make over our lives, the more power they have individually, and the more power the parties have. Do you realize that in a presidential election, 4 years ago, the candidates spent over $1 billion each. They raised that money from, contributions from people like you and me. They raised it from corporations. They raised it from, organizations that are not to be named. But they spent $1 billion. And they raised much more than that because they also had Senate races and congressional races and state races and local races. They spent billions of dollars on, running ads so that you and I would vote for them so that they would get power. What have those billions of dollars that we donated to candidates done for you and I? Seriously, what? Because I don't see a whole lot that the Republicans or the Democrats or our professional political class in this country have done for the people in the last 20, 30, 40 years. Because they don't care about us. We need to put people in office, specifically in Congress, that live amongst us, that don't want to turn politics into a career, that want to do some service, whether it's at the end of their working career and they want to serve us, their constituents, for 2 years or for 6 years in the Senate, or it's in the middle of their career and they've got some great ideas and a lot of ambition and they want to leave their job for 2 years to serve in Congress. Or it's somebody at the beginning of their career who's young and spry and has all kinds of energy and is up for, these 24-hour power negotiation sessions and willing to put in the work to make a difference in our country right now for 2 years at the beginning of their career. Those are the people that we should put in office. Those are the people that deserve our votes, not people who aspire to spend a lifetime in Washington, D.C., not people who aspire to amass all kinds of power and wealth off the backs of you and me, hardworking Americans, we need people that are just like you and me. We need you and me. And we all need to go out and find those kinds of people, non-political people. They may represent an R or a D in their race, but we need people who don't aspire to spend their entire career or their entire life in Washington, D.C. We want people who are only going to be there for a single term. People who understand the Constitution and understand that our freedoms, our civil liberties, and, well, the rights of each and every American are more important than the control and the rule of the federal government. Those people are out there. They're on the ballots right now. And by the way, it's not too late in some states to get new names onto the ballot. So you and I can affect change right now, today, and certainly in 121 days on November 3rd, when it's election time. When we see that there's an incumbent on the ticket, vote the other way. It doesn't matter what their party is. If they're only going to be there 2 years, their party's not going to have any influence. And they're going to come back to the voters and they're going to say, how should I vote on these issues? They're actually going to answer the phones when we call them to tell them what we think about a topic. They're actually going to listen to, well, the emails that are read to them instead of just saying, oh, shred them, because that's what they do. It's important that we don't have professional politicians. It's crucial right now in America that we replace the people who have served a career in politics with average, everyday people, with, just with the people. And when we do that, we, the people, we win. Government loses because government loses power. But we, the people, we win because, well, we gain our freedom. We gain our independence. We gain our liberty back. You have been listening to a production of the American Soundbite. This is a podcast that features common sense thoughts of this everyday American. The last 15 minutes have been the most valuable 10 minutes of your day, and I really appreciate you being part of the conversation today. Hey, if you enjoyed the content, if you like the format of the show, if you like what it is that we do, click on the like button on the app that you're watching this on. That lets me know that, well, you enjoyed it and encourages me to keep doing it more. If you didn't like it, or if you loved it and you have some comments, or if you just want to throw some shit my way, type some comments. I will read them all, and it will affect the flow of future shows. While you're at it, right next to that like button, well, it's the button that says share. Let your friends, your family, your coworkers on social media know that you listen to the American Soundbite, and they should too. Thanks a lot for joining us. I hope you have a great day, and God bless. And that is a wrap. Obviously, we went a little bit over the 10-minute mark today, but there really is so much to say about the importance of how, well, you and I vote, how every American votes, and that we understand that politicians, that the political parties themselves, they don't have our best interest at heart, and they never will. And the bigger they've gotten, the less they've cared about the American people. But we can fix it. We can change it. We don't need them to vote for term limits because they never will. But we can institute term limits by always, no matter who it is, always voting the incumbent out of office. Hey, thanks a lot for joining us. Make sure you tell your friends and your family members that the American Soundbite is a really cool and interesting, thought-provoking show. And we are here each and every day at, well, about 8:45, 9 o'clock-ish time because, you know, we're the internet. We're not on the air.